Hi everybody, I'm Dr. Laura Pence. Thanks for joining me today. We're going to dive into some self-analysis, exploration, and discovery, but before we do that, just a quick reminder, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. Not only do I want you to feel a part of the community and belonging, but it's really important that you make sure you're tuning in to each episode and getting those notifications that they've popped up on YouTube. So make sure you subscribe. Okay, so we're diving into this question, who am I? And on Tuesday, I encouraged you all to engage in an activity that helped you define yourself and allowed you to have a deeper understanding of how you define yourself. Well, one of the reasons that's important is that we not only are impacted by the way that we think about ourselves, but physically the way that we think about ourselves shows up and therefore impacts how we engage with the world, right? Because if you define yourself a certain way, not only are you going to think about yourself that way, but you're also going to interact in relationships and with the world in a certain way based on that definition. Let me give you an example that might clarify things a little bit, right? So let's say in the activity that I had you do, which completed the sentence, I am, 10 times, you identified yourself as being strong. You wrote the sentence, I am strong. Well, that might mean that physically, the way you're showing up in the world is with strong shoulders, chest out, firm handshake, eye contact, right? Because the physical embodiment of that feeling, of feeling strong, usually aligns with those ways of engaging, right? So that is going to impact the way that other people relate to you too, as well. If they feel like you're engaging, they're going to engage. Let's take the opposite of that, however. Let's say you identified yourself as, I am weak. Well, you might then have a difficult time or struggle a little bit more to engage with the world because physically you are hiding. Physically, your shoulders might be hunched over. It might be difficult for you to make eye contact. You might be giving a limp fish handshake because the physical embodiment of that weakness is you shrinking away from the world rather than showing up for the world. So the reason that's important is because it can create a feedback loop, right? Because if you're not engaging in relationships or if you're not engaging with the world in a way that puts you out there, in a way that allows you to show up, the feedback loop might reinforce that very feeling. You identify yourself as weak, you shrink away from the world in a physical way, other individuals, instead of moving towards you, move away from you, and therefore you come back to that definition of I am weak. Other individuals don't want to engage with me. Now, that might not be true that other individuals feel that way, but that might be your takeaway, right? And that's that self-fulfilling prophecy that again lands you in that definition. So I want you to review with yourself, not only how you're defining yourself, but how is that physically showing up for you? How are you embodying those sensations and those feelings, those definitions you have for yourself? Join me next week. We're going to keep diving into this question of who am I, and hopefully continue to break apart and kind of work through some of the things that matter to you, your values, your non-negotiables, all of those things that make up who you are. Oh, and don't forget, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you're clicking that button and make sure you're sharing too, sharing this information with the world. Thanks for joining me.